Somehow, Velma returned, and then died, and then returned again, and then officially died for real this time. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. After I put out a review of Velma Season 2, I breathed a sigh of relief. I never had to watch another minute from this show ever again. This thing was so bad that I spent my entire summer cleansing my mind with literally everything else the Scooby-Doo franchise had to offer. Every single thing I watched, except for maybe that really cringe Velma and Daphne knockoff Disney Channel movie, was significantly better than Velma. Even the Zombie Island sequel that retconned away every single thing that made the original Zombie Island movie good was better than this. Even the show that got rid of the entire gang except for Shaggy and Scooby and made them secret agents was better than this. Even the crappy CW fake reunion special was better. Actually, I can't go that far. That was really bad.
Whoa, what was that?
I don't know. It's not part of the reunion special. It must be a mystery.
Still, after going on this Summer of Scooby-Doo marathon to finally get this show out of my system, I then find out that there's going to be a Velma Halloween special that may or may not wrap up the main story of the show. And so I decided against my better judgment to watch this piece of crap. I mean, it took me about a week to get around to it. I was busy with a Saw video, but hey, I watched it, damn it. I'm not one to quit a show once I start it, even if I live to regret it. Anyway, let's just get this done with. So, after Scrappy attempted to save us from our suffering by killing Velma, only for Velma to randomly become a ghost, her gaggle of friends, acquaintances, supporting cast members gathered together to do a ritual to bring her back. No, please don't. Why would you do such a thing? Luckily, it fails, but Goth Nancy Pelosi suggests another way, an evil dark magic spellbook. However, she had donated it to the local historical society after it had demanded a blood sacrifice on a past Halloween. That's how she phrases it.
I donated it after its evil demanded a blood sacrifice on All Hallows Eve.
I'm making note of this for later. That Halloween had also coincidentally been the same Halloween where the ghost of the Black Knight was born. Now, you may be asking yourself, who is the Black Knight? Well, he's a very popular urban legend in this world that was never brought up before this, of course. We'll get more on his backstory later, but for now we're off to the Historical Society where an old lady in a sexy cat costume has been murdered at the presumable hands of the Black Knight. Velma hides from the normies so as to not literally scare them to death. She gets called by a mysterious voice which leads her to the spellbook. She tries to tell Daphne about this, but her girlfriend is too preoccupied with planning a sexy Halloween party, leaving Velma alone with the book. Before anything can happen, she's attacked by the Black Knight, and I guess we're moving on then. Everybody exposits the Black Knight's backstory to Amber in her final scene of the special. Good to know that character was important to the very end.
Okay, will someone please tell me who the Black Knight is? And is it racist? Because it sounds racist.
What even is this joke? Oh, because it has black in the name, that means it's about black people. Just wait until she hears about Black Jaguars, Black Sabbath, Painted Black, Manchester Black, Blackheart, Pitch Black, Does It Come in Black, Black Holes, Black Bolt, Black Betty, Blam Lam, Black Rock, Black Bart, Black Tom Cassidy, Black Phillip, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Blackjack, The Black Panther. Okay, no, that one was actually about black people. Blackula. I don't think that one's racial at all.
That is the rudest nigga I've ever seen in my life.
Anyway, during Crystal Cove's first ever sexy Halloween party, some nerd in a Black Knight costume tried to get in, so a group of popular hot people chased him off a cliff. Now, every year since, someone in a sexy Halloween costume gets killed in a mysterious accident. So, we're sticking with the hot teenagers thing, aren't we? Stay classy, Velma. Well, the curse of the Black Knight ain't scaring anybody this year as our main cast prepare for sexy Halloween. Not Shaggy is going with his ex-brain girlfriend as sexy Pinky in the Brain. Are you laughing? That was supposed to be a funny joke. Because Pinky in the Brain isn't sex, it seems like Brain Girlfriend has gotten over her anger with Not Shaggy at the end of season 2, so much so that she's become an overly controlling girlfriend trying to change Not Shaggy into the perfect boyfriend. Of course, Not Shaggy's too neurotic and socially awkward to tell her to stop. Meanwhile, Daphne sets up sexy Halloween. She even has acquired a big celebrity.
Sweetie!
Who?
Look, it's not a new thing for big celebrities to guest star in Scooby-Doo projects. Heck, it's been going on since the early 70s with 2 full shows revolving around the concept. This is a very long-running tradition of the franchise, so I'm not gonna harp on that in particular. But at the very least, when there are guest spots, they are usually notable people with some cultural prominence. Scooby-Doo has acquired the likes of Jerry Reed, Davy Jones from the Monkees, Carol Burnett, Kiss, and almost the entirety of the WWE. There's an entire movie out there that revolves around the gang teaming up with Bill Nye the Science Guy, Elvira, and Scarecrow the Batman villain to fight a giant people-eating pumpkin while doing a Fury Road. This franchise is wild, guys. No matter your personal feelings on these celebrities, it is undeniable that they've left some sort of mark on culture during their peak popularity. I mean, I don't know anything about fashion, but when Tim Gunn shows up in a Scooby-Doo episode, I can identify him as that dress guy from one of those TLC shows or something like that. But Saweetie? Saweetie? What kind of name is that anyway? What has she ever done that's notable? I couldn't tell you a single song this woman has done. Well, this is her most streamed song on Spotify with, holy crap, 600 million views. This better be good.
That's my best friend, she a real bad bitch, got her own money. She don't need no nigga on the dance floor. She had 2-3 drinks, then she twerk and she throw it out and come back in.
Yep, nope, that's about what I expected. And what's more, she isn't even competent at voice acting.
Daphne, I'm very sexy. And I just heard there's some night killing people in sexy costumes.
Will you excuse me a second?
It seems like Daphne also can't stand this poor display of talent and heads into the woods to meet up with her friends. Velma somehow got away from the Black Knight off screen and was also picked up on the side of the road by not Shaggy off screen. I feel like the main character escaping what is thought to be the villain of this special would be important enough to show on screen, but I'm not going to complain much about having less Velma content to look at. Anyway, Fred reveals that he has downloaded the audiobook version of the Evil Dark Magic spellbook because, of course, that's a thing in a universe of retards. And this audiobook has been recorded by famed comedic actor Richard Kind. That's it, that's the joke. It's Richard Kind. Are you laughing yet? Are you laughing? Richard Kind reveals that there is in fact a spell that can be used to bring Velma back to life. But fortunately, there's a snafu. Each member of the gang has to confront their biggest fear after they figure out what it is. Once they do, a triangle will appear on their wrist, and once they conquer it, it'll disappear. For example, when Velma tries to get Daphne to cancel the sexy Halloween party, the latter discovers that she has a fear of missing out. Though that's not really what FOMO is. If the party gets canceled, then there would be no missing out on anything because there would be nothing to miss out on. But whatever. Fred learns what his fear is when he finds out his dad is working for Saweetie as a bodyguard because the family has gone bankrupt. How he's even qualified for this as a watchmaker, I have no idea. Regardless, Fred now has to take up a job with his dad to keep them afloat, unlocking his biggest fear. What kind of low standards does this hoe have? However, he completely and utterly fails tryouts. Meanwhile, Not Shaggy meets up with his brain girlfriend, which gives him his little fear triangle. He thinks he needs to conquer his fear of confessing his love, but that doesn't work, so he thinks that he has to conquer his fear of hurting people he cares about. He breaks up with his brain girlfriend, but she's less hurt and more just pissed. So that doesn't work either. But hey, at least we're back to where we were at the end of season 2, so I'm glad this time was a complete waste. That was probably the most painful scene of the special. I really hate seeing Not Shaggy being a spineless worm trying to weasel his way in and out of this relationship. Buck up and break up with her, you dick. That slap was well deserved. Meanwhile, Velma's triangle appears, coinciding with the Black Knight randomly attacking. He kidnaps Daphne, dragging her to the place of his death. He uses this situation to claim that he is in fact innocent of all the murders of the past couple of decades. You're not really helping your case by attacking and kidnapping there, buddy. Regardless, he believes that one of his killers is the real killer because as a respecter of sexiness, he would never kill sexy teens. He also reveals himself to be a scrawny nerd. Velma decides to help him figure out the real killer to get to the bottom of what her real fear is. She and Daphne bicker about this naturally, but they go forward with the investigation. Black Knight can't actually remember anything about his killers, but luckily the sexy teens take a photo of themselves every year, so the school yearbook should help them discover the killers' identities. First, we learn the identity of the Black Knight in an admittedly nice reference to the original Black Knight ghost from Where Are You? Hey look, I'm just trying to find something positive to say about this to uplift my spirits. Just give me this, okay? The jangling keys are my only joy in life. Oh geez, I think I'm developing Stockholm Syndrome. I've been watching this show for too long, someone help me. As the group investigates, Velma realizes that her fear is being forgotten, which is amplified by Daphne sneaking off to concern herself with the sexy Halloween party. Velma gets pissed about this and threatens to ascend into the afterlife, which I guess she can just do voluntarily. Velma can just summon the powers of heaven and hell on a whim. Who thought that was a good idea? Anyway, Daphne poorly explains that the sexy Halloween party is actually meant to be a super secret welcome back party for Velma.
And also remember Velma, your dead friend.
Anyway!
Yeah, okay, sure. Don't you miss this great couple? One is more concerned about going to a party than trying to bring her girlfriend back to life, while the other is so attention hungry that she'll commit a post-mortem sewer slide. Somehow they make up, but Velma accidentally gets sucked into the light anyways and begins to ascend into the afterlife, bringing Daphne with her. The Black Knight saves them both and Velma's triangle goes away. Apparently, almost accidentally committing spectral suicide counts as conquering your fear. Yeah, I don't think accidentally stumbling into what you fear the most is actually conquering it. Likely, it would make things worse. The Black Knight has discovered the identities of his killers, who are the parents of the main characters, because of course, these kids' parents are involved in every sketchy thing that happens in this town. Some great world building we got going on here. The parents happen to be here at the school hosting a non-sexy Halloween party, and Black Knight freaks out about this, trying to kill them all. Unfortunately, it seems like even in death, he is still a wimpy dweeb. This does allow the parents to give their side of the murder story, explaining that actually Black Knight was a pervert who was trying to catch some sexy teens making out. You know what, you can have the jangling keys back, I don't want them anymore. Instead, he got caught and was accidentally shoved off a cliff when the parents chased him down. However, Black Knight says that he distinctly heard someone demand for his death, meaning that there was someone else present who killed him intentionally. Velma remembers that Goth Nancy Pelosi had mentioned something about the evil spellbook wanting a blood sacrifice that night and deduces who the culprit is. The group heads to the sexy Halloween party to unmask the real killer once and for all. Once there, Daphne passes on an opportunity to be the totally famous singer Sweetie's backup dancer, getting rid of her triangle. The killer strikes, but Fred is able to save the totally famous singer Sweetie, getting rid of his triangle. The gang's parents chase the real killer, and they all fall off the same cliff Black Knight was pushed off of. Somehow, the Black Knight manages to catch them all at the last second. I don't see how he was able to make the gains to hold all of them after struggling to pick just one guy up to throw them merely minutes ago, but I guess good continuity isn't something we've come to expect from Velma. Anyway, now it's time to unmask the culprit, but first, I'd like to hazard a guess. After watching every Scooby-Doo thing this summer, I'd like to think I can guess the culprit now. Let's see. The killer first killed the Black Knight after being bayed by a mysterious voice to push him. Goth Nancy Pelosi had said that the evil spellbook demanded a blood sacrifice that Halloween, so she got rid of it. She also said that it corrupts your soul. This implies to me that the book corrupted her and forced her to kill the Black Knight, but the shame of such an action weighed so much on her conscience that she gave it up afterwards. However, its influence still reaches her every year to kill someone for it on Halloween. Plus, her last name is McKnight. Come on. That's too on the nose for her not to be the culprit. That's my deduction for the real Black Knight killer. Let's see if I'm right.
It's... What? Who's this? We haven't even met her. We don't even know who she is.
Evelyn?
And how was I supposed to know that? No way. Foul. This one does not count.
Okay, apparently it was this random old lady who killed the Black Knight and everyone else since then in order to power up the book by instilling fear back into Halloween and replacing sexiness. Goth Nancy Pelosi had turned the book over to the Historical Society before Halloween, which allowed the book to corrupt the random old lady who worked there. You know what, I'll give the special credit that the random old lady was the one to explain the legend of the Black Knight earlier in an attempt to gin up fear, foreshadowing this reveal. The issue I'm having is that the phrasing of Goth Nancy Pelosi's explanation of what happened to the spellbook strongly implies, to me at least, that she turned the book over after Halloween because she killed someone. I don't know if I'm going crazy and I'm the only person who read the line this way, or if this sentence was just poorly constructed and doesn't clearly communicate the sentiment it's supposed to communicate. Also, why would Goth Nancy Pelosi just give an evil spellbook to a random organization that is open to the public for any old person to fall under its influence? especially when she knew that the book was out for blood. I think she still holds some culpability in this. Regardless, this random old lady has been tasked to make Halloween scary again, so the book can feed off the fear she generates, but luckily she's been stopped. I guess now all that's left is to bring Velma back to life. Well, actually, not Shaggy still needs to face his big fear of hurting someone close to him. Apparently he's really close with the random old lady, which I feel like I kind of remember, but I'm not going back to fact check that. Not Shaggy gets rid of his triangle, allowing the spell to take effect. However, random old lady pushes Black Knight into the spell, which sends him back to his body at the bottom of the sea. I don't see why we can't just try again. Black Knight's new zombie form generates enough fear for random old lady to magically create more zombies to generate even more fear. Velma realizes the only way to stop her is to combat the spookiness with sexiness. But Daphne points out that all the sexy teenage girls have been injured in the last attack. I swear this show's gonna put me on a watch list. The totally famous singer Saweetie girl-splains to the two that there's more to sexiness than just booty and booba. There's talents and interest and other lame stuff like that. She then begins to twerk to fight the zombies. Why can't I get away from this? On the bright side, at least it's not a teenager doing it this time. All the kids bring sexy back by engaging in their kinks to fight off the zombies, but the Black Knight's creepy perving, which is made worse once you realize he's technically an adult creeping on a bunch of teenagers, ruins the mood enough for the random old lady to regain her powers. In a last-ditch effort, Velma once again summons the light to heaven, planning to take random old lady's soul with her. However, their trip to the afterlife takes a detour to the more proper place for the both of them.
Great! Glad that's all settled.
You know what, for how absolutely awful this show has been, at least this is a satisfactory end that gives Velma the fate she deserves.
Oh my god, I'm alive!
Are you serious? Are you freaking serious? How in the world did you somehow escape hell?
Congratulations, Fred. You've now taken the first step towards raising hell. You'll make a wonderful disciple of evil.
Okay, forget I asked. You seriously teased another season with this. I'm kind of impressed by the audacity. Suffice to say, this is a bad special that poorly wraps up a bad show. The characters are still annoying and unlikable, with Fred being the only tolerable one thanks to the naturally charismatic Glenn Howerton. The main plot of each member of the gang having to confront their fears just kind of ends, mostly in throwaway jokes that barely do anything to give them development. Velma is still a belligerent know-it-all who confronts her fear by a stupid accident. Fred is still a moron with a lot of his development from Season 2 where he becomes his own man being forgotten in order to make fun of him for being a lazy rich kid again. Not Shaggy spends most of the special trying to be unnecessarily mean to people while being an awkward nerd, confronting his fear by being mean to a character I forgot existed up until that point, but honestly, she kinda deserved it, so he got an easy out on that front. Though that also means that the whole painful situation with the girlfriend was completely unnecessary. Daphne is the only character to actually make a choice to change by prioritizing Velma over her own desires, only to revert back to being a self-absorbed hot girl with major FOMO for a joke. So, good job there, writers. Speaking of jokes, they're still not funny, and the out-of-touch millennial humor coming out of the mouths of contemporary teenagers is just painful.
What do you mean the book spoke to you? Like The Fault in Our Stars?
Nothing will speak to me like The Fault in Our Stars.
Okay, what's everyone's greatest fear? Mine is either global warming or Taylor Swift retiring.
Let's pray it's global warming. Yes, I saw him. Why would I lie about that? He's a random ghost, not Tupac.
I'm not ready to go! I never made any of the recipes in my save folder!
It's kind of jarring how little some of the prominent members of the cast are used in this, especially since this is in some way meant to wrap up the series. Kind of. I mean, I know they teased a season 3, but I was under the impression this was supposed to wrap everything up. Speaking of which, this special wraps up the lingering plot threads of season 2 by basically ignoring all of it to tell a completely different story to set up a season 3 that was hilariously announced to not be coming shortly after this dropped. It's crazy that out of all of the shows out there to get a chance to properly finish its story after being abruptly cut off, Velma got it, kind of, and then promptly wasted it in a worthless attempt to ignore what came before it to do something else that would never be finished. It's basically the entirety of Velma in a microcosm. Anyway, thanks for allowing me to indulge myself a bit with these Velma videos. I know at this point in the channel they're not the most popular thing out there, and it doesn't help that I'm tragically late on this stuff. But I guess it's apparent now that I just kind of followed the whims of my mind when it comes to content creation. Being a big Scooby-Doo fan, this just felt natural to do. Thankfully, Velma is now officially dead for real this time, so you'll see no more of these. Though I can't promise a full stop on Scooby-Doo content in the future. What with that anime thing coming out at some point and my Summer of Scooby-Doo marathon giving me a lot I want to talk about. So if you're interested, stay tuned on that front. But for now, thanks for watching, stay blessed. I'm gonna take this guy out to celebrate the death of Velma. I'll see you next time. Like you want some drink, Scoob? Yeah, I wanna get wasted. What am I doing with my life?
That's my best friend, she a real bad bitch. Got her own car, she don't need no lift in the strip club. But my girl gon' tip, now she twerking, she throw it out and come back in.